What's going on, to Knicks Chicks family? I'm your girl, Lady and the Chef, joined by my co-host this morning.
D Black 21, what's up?
It's another day we get to talk about some Knicks news. We also got to highlight the Summer League and as well as cover some of the New York Liberty news as well. So jam-packed show today. Have a lot to discuss in a jam-packed setting. So let's get started and jump right into discussing Jalen Brunson signing his contract extension with the New York Knicks. Actually giving the Knicks a discount, which is, really unheard of in the NBA, but most sports in particular. Players, when they're looking for a specific number, you know, that's what they want, and they're not really willing to necessarily take such a huge discount. But I think with this case, Jalen Brunson sees things a little differently, and that he sees that the Knicks have built the team around him, and that they're a young team but an experienced team and a team going places. And I think that's part of what influenced his decision making and taking a discount. What are your thoughts on Jalen Brunson? First of all, the Knicks being able to get him at a number that, to me, it seems like the Knicks have a lot of, I don't want to use the word control, but they do a great job at getting players to sign for under what they're asking for. We were discussing this before. That's one. And then two, um, how does this affect the Knicks in the long run? Like, do you think that this is a positive impact, him signing a discount, or was this just a smart move and you don't know what's to come out of it? We have to see.
Well, definitely it was a smart move, for him and the organization, and definitely for him financially. He took the deal now because it's like guaranteed. When sometimes when a player they wait and they everybody wants so quote unquote that bag. But a lot of it's not guaranteed, on the back end. So that was a smart move for him. Um, and he's looking longevity
Mhm.
as a player. And unfortunately, there's some players, they want that. I get it that money now, but he's young, 28. He's looking down the road for and setting up for financially, down the road. With this, and then just overall collectively, as a team aspect, it's not just about me. Yeah, I could go ahead and take this money, but then where would that leave the team? Can that get us, that championship? So he just looking at this. That was just a very unselfish move. A lot of the players they tend to be selfish. So for him, that was just so unselfish for him, you know, um, just to take, that extension. A, he's helping the team in the long run. B, he's helping himself, because he will be eligible for, the extension, down the road, that super max, what they call it. Like I think in like 2029, I was reading, like he could go for 323 and four, then in 28 or in 29, he could wait and get that super max. So again, he's looking at the longevity aspect. The money will be there, God willing, health and everything. um this he's able to we already know that this is his team, but definitely with this signing, it's definitely solidified that this is his team, and now they're building around me for sure. So and it just gives them a lot of flexibility to a build around him, to bring in, possibly, another, they need a center. We because let's face it, we don't, we know what Mitch is capable of. So it just helps the team overall. It helps even with the signing of Mikel. So it was just like so unselfish for him. He looked at the team aspect and not just a me, because collectively you're not going to win a championship without a team. It takes it, there's like the saying, "Oh, there's no I in team." So that was just like, man, just so impressive of him to do that. And you couldn't even ask for a better person because he's so humble. He's laid back. He's not this flashy, braggadocious type of guy. And you know um you couldn't even ask for just like a more unselfish act from a guy like that. So it just helps overall for the organization, um the, just to build off of that. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just sharing the extension numbers, the contract numbers on the screen. And yeah, I think you well said how you spoke on, I think, the type of player that Jalen Brunson is. And I think it goes back to when I was talking about the whole, when we were having a discussion about Spider coming over to the Knicks. And I was saying, like, you know, maybe at times he could come off the bench. And you were saying he's not going to want to come off the bench. And I get that argument when you're at a certain point in your career, you're at your prime or close to your prime, and you're not going to want to come off the bench. But my argument to that was that not just specifically to Spider, but other players in general, sometimes when you specifically, kind of in his case, when you want to go to a particular team or you're brought to another team, sometimes, like, I think when a team you see where they can go and you see their championship like contenders, I think sometimes you have to like be unselfish and say, I'm
Yeah.
gonna come in and play my role to get us to that point. And Jalen Brunson proved exactly what I was saying is the type of players that this Knicks team need. Now, I'm not saying everybody's in a position to take way less money or, you know, do what he did. But I think even if it's not even just related to the money, like, great, it's great when you start, but it's also how you finish games. It's how you can close out games and finish off games. It's also about consistency, longevity throughout the season and the playoffs. And I think that sometimes players and sometimes even as fans, we get so caught up in like, oh, who should be starting, who's coming off the bench. Listen, I don't care if you're coming off the bench, but can you give us what we're looking for on a night in, night out basis? It's 82. That's a long season to play. On top of that, a postseason, and then on top of that, an in-season tournament. So I think that, you know, Jalen Brunson, with the discount that he gave the Knicks, the money that he's going to get paid out, even on top of that,
And the
he's
long
worth every penny because even when he had bad games, especially in the playoffs, if he didn't give those 20 plus points a game, the Knicks wouldn't have won. They wouldn't have won. Let's be honest, because who else, again, with a hurt Mitchell Robinson, a hurt Randall, who else was giving you that production that he gave them? Who else was carrying the team like that? And I get it's a team effort, but it starts with your leader. So who's standing at the throne and taking that action of leadership, which becomes infectious on other guys. And I think that him taking less money on the contract deal helps out when it comes to like Randall, Mikal Bridges, you know, other guys on his team, especially because the Knicks paid OG out on so much money. And I think the biggest question mark with OG is, can he be able to stay healthy and give the Knicks enough games throughout the season and be played? So I think that what Jalen did is incredible because you don't really hear of this in the league. But I think deep down, truly in my heart of hearts, I feel like Jalen Brunson wants oh so badly not just to become a champion, because that's really the goal. Like, okay, you make the league, but after that, the goal is to become, you could say, I won a championship. I'm a champion. Yeah, you can become an all-star, you can make
Exactly. Yeah.
the Olympics and all of that, and you could get named defensive player of the year and player Eastern Conference player of the week and a month. That's all great, but the real true goal, or you could win the in-season tournament, the real true goal is to be able to get that ring, to get that trophy, and say I was an NBA champion. And I truly believe Jalen not only just wants to become a champion and win a championship, but he really wants to do that in New York. And I think that along with him, you have guys like Randall, you have Josh Hart, who see like not just the potential where this Knicks team can go and the fact that they're right there, like we're right there, we're close to winning a championship. But and we talked about that, how there's other teams in the league who won championships, but they didn't get it that first or second run.
Yeah,
It
for
took
sure.
them a
Yeah.
few runs to get there and win that championship. But I think that these guys see that and they know that, damn, New York hasn't won a championship in decades. And they really want to be able to bring that to New York. So I think what he did speaks high volumes for him, but it also speaks volumes for the front office because the front office is able to get Jalen under really what he should be paid. And they've been able to do this. What it seems like when you really look across the board with all the players on this next team, they've been able to do that. So shout out to Jalen Brunson, shout out to the Knicks. Um, I'm still interested to see what the Knicks do as far as Julius Randle contract extension on August 3rd. And, I saw something on Twitter speaking about how a few guys have come to the Knicks and their game has gone to the next level as a Knick,
Yeah, for
which
sure.
is also not really heard of previously, pre Jalen Brunson. You didn't really see guys come to the Knicks and their game went to the next level. Maybe they were good, but not to the next level. And that's the goal, to get better each year. And Mikel name is next on that list of, I'm sure his game is going to go to the next level, not only because he's playing with the Villanova guys, but also you're going to be playing on a winning team. Brooklyn is not a winning team. And I think when you're on a winning team, it makes it not only fun, but just being able to compete and grind and play under Tibbs. And, Mikel looks like he wanted to play for the Knicks the many times that throughout the series, Brooklyn and Knicks have played together. But I truly believe that Mikel Bridges is next up for that player who's gonna take it to the next level, as well as Deuce McBride. His game is gonna go to the next level. And Dante DiVincenzo, I'm also looking for him to show more consistency next season and take his game to the next level. So there's a couple of guys who, they're under good contracts for this Knicks team, which also allows the Knicks to have flexibility as far as cap space and being able to have wiggle room. And yeah, I'm looking forward to see what this team does. Like I said, with Julius Randle, because he's next up as far as getting paid.
Well, definitely, and that's what I mentioned in the last podcast and a few podcasts before that. Just being playing on his Knicks team is has elevated guys. A, it's made them better, and A, they commanded more money. iHeart is a prime example. He went to a winning franchise, so it was a win-win for him. And unfortunately, it was a deep loss for us. But
Right.
this signing right here perhaps it leaves the door open for to sign somebody. So again, just with this signing, with his extension, and now this keeps the team together and to help build that championship caliber team. So that there's a lot of pluses with that. And as far as with Mikel, you gotta remember when he was on Phoenix, it's like he was because that's who he was drafted to. So I guess he was like the primary over there, and with the Nets, yeah, his numbers dip, but now coming here, even if they don't, increase significantly, but his game will, because he's not the primary. It's like the offense is not particularly running through him, so it can give him a chance to elevate his game because we've seen it happen. Um,
Right.
so it's not like, oh, it's like this thing, this need will have to score, have to score. A lot of pressure. He'll be able to flow into the offense and just more play like a his style, like and what he's used to, and he'll be able, make that contribution, so it's not like the focal point is always on him to score. So that's gonna definitely, increase his productivity on the Knicks. Um, but just like overall, like just with this, it put the Knicks in contention, with the Boston, because I even said that like in our last season, unfortunately, all roads to the finals is gonna have to go through Boston, and I believe that to be true again because they know what it's like. Their core guys is together. Although Porzingis is out, he's not expected to come back, but they played well without him. I don't see anything is going to be any different. So it puts the Knicks in up there with the team like a Boston, and they could definitely contend with them or the Sixers. Just that East and the West overall. So it gives them that leverage and that advantage to contend with those type of teams. um and again, this helps free up money, so it was just like a very smart move on his part, just thinking of the team, the organization, um and primarily his goal. I want to win that championship. Well, if this is what it takes for me to get it, I will. And then he's thinking about the longevity of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. The Knicks, I think they're in a good position right now, which is a great thing. And again, is really not heard of when it comes to the Knicks, to be basically in a good position. Usually the Knicks, like I said in the past, the Knicks will always just giving money away, just giving
Yeah,
guys high contracts for no reason, and guys were either bust, injury prone, making every excuse not to want to play. I felt like also the old Knicks teams had such a high turnover rate. You would see guys on the team, and the next season it was a
we'll
different
see.
squad. You also was like, who are these guys? Like, where did they find them? And now I feel like another advantage that this team has, and while I think that the Knicks, while I keep hearing the narrative that they're chasing after being able to compete, as most teams are with Boston, being that they just won the championship team. And I think part of the reason why Boston is a good team, but I think they didn't really have much competition in the postseason. A lot of players were injured. The East was very weak. But I also think that, like, even before you get to the playoffs, I think one of the things that the Knicks really have to focus on too for next season is the Knicks couldn't really compete with Boston. They had no answer for them except for once. And that was at the end of the season when Boston was kind of like, let's give them one. They don't really have anything against us, but we'll give them one against us. So, if you're trying to compete against Boston next season, you have to be able to show that you can beat those guys because this season the Knicks had no answer for them. Every game we played against them in the series of what, four out of 4 games, I think the Boston beat us what, three? The Knicks had
Yeah,
no answer for them. So again, when you're trying to go against teams like that, you gotta be able to like beat them. And sure, we were able to beat Minnesota. We were able to beat Milwaukee, and teams like that, the Warriors, but like you gotta be able to compete against Boston and have an answer for them, and really make them have to work. And I think that this Knicks team has the weapons, but I think that we have to see what goes on defensively because this Knicks team sometimes has defensive collapses, which is a whole nother conversation. But we'll see. I think that this Knicks team can compete with everyone, and every team is capable of being beat. But especially Boston is, I think, who we really should be looking out for to see what does this Knicks team do against uh, championship Boston team.
For sure. Um, when I see this signing, I'm thinking, could a trade be in the works, for a center? Because again, this help free up money. You
Hmm.
know, they still haven't signed Precious, so
Right,
he's out there. So there's a lot of that's the saying. It's not done yet. So at the end of the day, they're still making moves and figuring out the best thing for the organization, not just signing hastily or in a rush to sign or get somebody. I'm when you go on these sites, you now Carlton Towns, his name's been thrown back in there. So it's like, well, what does that mean?
right,
We up money, do you trade Jew for him? So it just makes you wonder, like at the end of the day, what's gonna, happen? Because let's face it, the Knicks they do need a center, whether it's a backup or a starter. When it's all said and done, they will need somebody more reliable than a Sim. So it just makes you wonder, with this extension, and it was done for the betterment of the team, but
right,
at whose expense, So now that's like the $1 million question. Well, who's going and who's staying?
right. Yeah, yeah, and that's a good point to bring up. I think that I know some people have said, well, the Knicks still have until the next trade deadline, but I think that's a little too late to be like. I think the Knicks need to be front office need to be proactive now and figure out this backup center position because relying on Mitchell Robinson and Jericho Sims as a backup is just not. I don't think that's going to carry them far enough. Where you're going to leave a lot of space, open space in that center positioning, um, defensively and offensively. That I don't think it's wise to go into the next season with that big question mark of like kind of going in like maybe Mitch will be able to be healthy for most of the season. I don't know. I'm not really crazy about it, and I don't like Jericho Sims as a backup center. Just being honest.
For sure.
Um, Knicks played Charlotte. They played Charlotte, right? Yeah, they played
Yeah,
Charlotte
yesterday. No answer for him.
in the summer league. The Knicks had a slow start. I think at one point the score was like five. I don't know, was it 12, 16?
Well, the starts was throughout the whole game because they never was able. I watched, I watched the bulk of it. I saw flashes of, Tyler, Kohler. Yeah, he's good. And with some, of course, he could, he's definitely going to get better. You definitely see flashes of him where he can
Mhm.
definitely be that, that backup. Um, get him some G League, some reps under him, but they just never was able to. I don't know, was able to gather that lead. I think the lowest, the lead they had was rather Charlotte. They cut it the Knicks cut it to 7, but they was never able to like gain that momentum and just take that lead. And
They got
God
it to
forbid
within two at one point.
that
And
at the
then Yeah, and then
in the fourth
Toppin missed
quarter.
that, and then yeah, and Toppin missed the layup that could have, I believe, tied the game up.
Yeah, but that was well, that was in the fourth quarter. But just overall, just throughout the first three quarters, they just and God forbid they couldn't guard that perimeter to save their life.
The
They was
defense
letting that
was
kid.
trash.
Yeah, it was.
We
And
didn't
I
play
get it.
any
It's just,
defense.
yeah, it's a summer league, but aren't you trying to get on the team or just show what you can do so you can potentially be that 15th man? I don't know something on the roster. But it was just one game. They still got a few more, but just from it's so hard to judge them just by one game
Yeah,
because
of
again,
course.
but Dwayne Washington, he's been with them. He did, chipping 26 points. Dadier, you saw like again, he's just young, just inexperienced. You know, his shot selection wasn't the best. I saw there was quite a few air balls, and I'm like saying, yeah, this is the NBA. That the court is a little bit, bigger. So again, it's just you'll get used to the playing in the NBA style, and again, you as he progress, you'll see his shot selection to get better. Just his shooting, all that come. So you see flashes of of what is of the potential. I didn't really see much of what's it, Hoka Porty. No, he didn't seem to, from what I saw, because
Yeah,
again, I
he was playing, but I didn't really see like no
anything
major
great.
impact on the defensive end.
Yeah. Hmm.
Daddy A looked overwhelmed. He looked he missed 6 of his 7 shots and he played 26 minutes. Again,
Yeah.
I know he's still young. This is the NBA. It's a different league. But the only guy that looked to me, he looked ready was Kolek.
Yeah.
Tyler Kolek was the only one that looked like his vision, his passing,
Yeah.
the timing on his passing. And what I really loved, what I saw with Tyler Kolek was that he's not afraid to drive to the basket. I'm like, this is what we need. Somebody with speed. He was able to play the inside outside game, the nice floaters, but just the great court vision that he has and the patience and timing on his passes. It was clean. I didn't feel like his play was sloppy. Like, it wasn't too much dribbling. The passes weren't suspect. So I really like what I saw from him. But yeah, the other two guys again, I gotta look out for Focabitis and um the other one. I just
Hoka
again it was
Porty.
one game, so I didn't really get to see enough for me to be able to say, oh yeah, well maybe the Knicks should, get
Hmm.
this guy some minutes. But the um the defense just wasn't good. Did you like, or I don't know if you noticed Toppin, he was getting nice passes from Tyler Kolek, nice easy looks into the basket. He has that typical Toppin brother speed, so he's able to get to the basket. But I don't know. I feel like there's still a question mark there if he's gonna get minutes.
Yeah, he could have been just he went up. I saw him like twice where he went up. Once he tried to do a reverse jam and he just got snuffed. Like it reminds
I
me of his
saw that.
brother how he tried to do that reverse slam, but it's a work in progress. And then he did do he tried to do a layup and he did get his own rebound and he did jam it back. So again, it's like just one game.
Right.
Um, it's hard to judge anybody off of one game. But like you said, the most impressive person was Coley, for me. Um, you see definitely flashes where like, okay, now I see what everybody's talking about. And it'll come as he gets more playing time, G League, and just he's gonna be. I don't see him seeing any significant real playing time, but you do see there's potential for definitely growth, and you can see a lot of upsides in him. You know.
Right. Yeah. Tyler Kolek has 7 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 0 turnovers.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So, my thing is like, and the chat's been saying this. I think that you have to be able to look at him and not have him sitting on the end of the bench every night. You gotta, the same way Tibbs was putting Deuce in for 2, 3 minutes on a more consistent basis than he was like Toppin and those other guys. You gotta do that with him because it's not smart to wait until, God forbid, Jalen Brunson suffers an injury. Deuce suffers an injury. Now you gotta put that Kolick in. And yeah, I'm sure he'll stay ready and be ready. That's Tibbs and the whole Knicks mantra, stay ready, next man up. But I don't think that keeping him warming a bench seat up for majority of the season is like smart. And then you only play him when the Knicks are up by 20, 25 with 2 minutes, 3 minutes left in the fourth. So I would like to see him get in there as he can provide some kind of spark for this Knicks team. You know how sometimes teams have an off night, like collectively, and sometimes you got to put that 1 or 2 guys in who will come
Yeah.
off the bench and give you a spark and energize the team and help you crawl back into, being down into a lead. And I think that this guy, like Deuce, can add to his skill set already by playing with not only the majority of the players on the team, but especially Jalen Brunson. Because when you're playing a point guard position, and I spoke on this about with Deuce McBride, Kolek would be a better backup point guard because Deuce, that's not really his game. Deuce is
Yeah.
more of a catch and shoot. And I think Deuce, when he does have to bring the ball up and Brunson's not in the game, mentally, he's so focused on bringing the ball up that it takes away from him looking for his shot. He's so worried about orchestrating and passing and making sure, I'm not turning it over. I'm able to bring the ball over the half court without getting a 5 second violation. I'm making smart decisions and crisp passes. So I think that when he's doing that, it takes away from him having to like do what he does. But also, I think Deuce can be an asset. Like I said, if he can do like a Tyrese Maxey, a McConnell, and be able to give you a little bit more than just a catch and shoot three or a mid range shot, a pull up. I think if Deuce sometimes could be explosive to the basket, that'll help the Knicks out tremendously.
Yeah.
For him to be able to bring that to this Knicks team. So if you can have a guy like Kolek bringing a ball up, and you could hit DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Deuce, cut into the basket, Randall, you know what I mean, out in the corner, Jalen Brown. So you need a guy like him to bring that ball up, but sitting him on the bench is not going to be wise. I'm telling you that right now. So I really hope that Tibbs is able to find a way to put him in a rotation. And I would hate to see such a talent wasted at the end of the bench, sitting there
Yeah. For
warming it
sure.
up as if he's Jericho Sims, who should just be passing out Gatorades and electrolyte supplements to the guys who's working hard out there. So I don't want to see him sitting too many games. I want to see him actively out there as a solid backup, as an option. This guy is young, he has energy, he's quick, he knows how to hit guys as he's driving to the basket. He does a nice kick out passing that I saw in that first game and from watching his tapes in Marquette at college. So I really want to see him out there playing and being active in the rotation somehow. I'm not saying every game, but I don't want to see it one game in December. You may catch him November if you're lucky. I just want to see the guy in the rotation and tips to be able to give him some run like he did with Deuce McBride.
Tibbs was at the game, so he was up in the stands. So Tibbs probably
Yeah,
is killing him inside, not the coach.
right.
But it's He probably will, especially when if he keeps showing those flashes. I mean, 0 turnovers, like that's that's impressive. Yeah, his it's sometimes you don't have to score 15, 20 points. It's the other little things. And I see the chat saying how with Toppin and the other guy, yeah, it's the other little things, and that's what we always preach, the intangibles. It's
Right.
not, your scoring, it's the other impact that you can make, whether you give us a steal, your defense is on point. You holding your man and guarding him. So it's the other diving for those loose balls. It's the other things that you can do that can make just a big of an impact as opposed to them 20 points. Because like they said, what's the what's the deal? Big deal if you scoring 20, 25 and you come up with an L. Like, you
Right.
know, it's stat
Exactly.
pattern, the sheet. What else did you do to get us this W? So that in Cole, I mean, I could, again, it's so hard to judge a person by one game, but I'm definitely, gonna be, watching more. Just again, just to see, what he's doing, and Topping, like, he's showing, he's like, okay, I've been here, and he's definitely like saying, again, everybody's buying for a seat, on that roster. Unfortunately, everybody's not going to make it. um you know uh, but if they could just make a contribution that can, get you a W. That's just as important as scoring, 19 or 25 when you walking away with a L.
Exactly. And we've already discussed this when it came down to both Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson, who would give you 40, 45, and we weren't winning before the Knicks had got hot last season. I'm like, what good is you giving us 40, 50, 60 points if we not winning? So, it's true. You sometimes it's about doing the other little things. I think when it comes to Daddy A, he's 6'8". He can become a pivotal piece for this next team, but I think he needs to become more well-rounded as a player if he wants to see playing times under Tibbs. So we'll see how he does on the defensive end, guarding the perimeter. If he can battle it out on the boards, if he can become a secondary playmaker for the Knicks, then great. But I don't, if he can add that, then Tibbs will give him playing time. As far as Tyler Kolek, 6'3", his senior year at Marquette, he did average 15.3 points, 4.9 rebounds, 7.7 assists per game. He's a skilled passer on a pick and roll. He could finish around the basket, which is excellent, and that's what the Knicks need. And he was at 38.8% from the 3-point line. The Knicks did give him 6.6 million in guaranteed money. As for a second rounder, listen, honestly, if you ask me, I think Tyler Kolek is going to get more playing time than some of these other guys that we've been discussing. I just see he looks more ready. You know what I mean? And we've talked about this a lot with this Knicks team. The Knicks need guys who are ready because they're competing for a championship, not guys who need to be developed. Not a ton of guys who need to be developed. They'll take one or two, but they're looking for guys who are ready to go. And I also say that because if we use this past season as a prime example, look at what they had to do, take the second and third string guys to step up and play the game. So you need guys who are ready, not guys who are going to get out there and you're like, well, there goes our season, because they're not really as developed and ready. So, I mean, and clearly, look, what's his name? Precious Achua got more playing time than Jericho Sims because he's more ready. He may not have the height and the length that you get, but again, you need guys who are more so ready to get out there and their game is ready to play on that NBA level, and guys who are going to do something besides just playing in the motions of I'm playing a game of basketball, I'm catching, I'm giving you a rebound, I'm making a pass. So it's more than just getting out there physically, but it's actually competing and giving what Tibbs is looking for, right? And what this team normally does when they have their stars, their starters, and then their bench players who carry the bulk of the load of the team. So I think that Tyler Kolek, to me, is going to get the playing time. Now, Daddy A could prove me wrong. Maybe I'll see something out of him and I'm like, wow, okay. But you know how I feel about the Summer League. I don't take it seriously because it's not because it doesn't count. I kind of equate it to like G League. It's like you could do all you want there, but when you get to the actual NBA games and you're playing live against Eastern and Western Conference talented teams, that's where you could really show me what you could do.
Well, I like this summer league and I like the G League because again, it helps these guys grow their game. So, especially, because the NBA is totally different from playing in the European League and the other leagues. So it helps them refine those skills. That's why I like it. Um, because definitely I could see Dadier on there, Hoka Porty. There's a few other guys that definitely will be on the G League, and again, it's to help them, and and when they're not playing, they're also sitting on the bench, so they're also becoming students of the game, so they
Right.
get to observe, like, okay, Jalen, Cole, he'll be a great student under Jalen, so he gets to watch it. Like I say, we all know college and all those other leagues. It's totally different from
It is.
NBA. It's a whole nother level. And as the season progresses, it gets more grueling. And now when you gotta make sure you're up to the task and this and that and the third. And when you as you go to the postseason, X, Y, and Z, you definitely, is more is required of you. So I like those leagues because again, it helps prepare them um for the big stage. So that's how I look at it.
I like it, but I like G League, not G League. I like Summer League, but I just feel like, again, yeah, it helps you out, but it's not, like you just said, it's not the same thing like the NBA. So I feel like, you know, and again, maybe because I'm a little triggered when we had Kevin Knox and he
That's
showed
yeah, that's what it is.
potential. Yeah, I think that's truly what it is. I'm being honest here. And Kevin Knox showed this hope, and then the Knicks front office was like, yeah, we got something here. And then he used to annoy me when he came in the game because he just plateaued. It was like, well, what happened? You were showing some so this is why I'm saying, like, when you get in the NBA, it's a different ball game. When you playing against guys who, even if they only in their second, third, fourth year, these guys, like, they're stronger, they're faster, they've been in the league, so they it's a different ball game. And versus when you playing, like, even when you watching G League and you watching the Summer League, you're like, yeah, this ain't the NBA. It was given very much like pickup game at the local YMCA, just with younger guys. So I don't know. I just think that we'll see. We'll see what this next team does.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to Lou Boogie. He said, I thought Daddy A kept Miller from attacking the basket queens. His defense was surprising though. He was nervous on his shot attempts. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he just seemed a little overwhelmed, like a little nervous, like he got to knock the jitters off. And then maybe when we see the second matchup, he'll maybe, I think as the G League, excuse me, as the Summer League progresses, he'll get more comfortable out there playing, you know what I mean, and running up and down the floor. Because if you look at Toppin, he's comfortable. Because
Yeah, yeah.
he's played in G League, he's played in Summer League before. So Toppin's like, yo, I've done this. This is like,
And he
My
even has some spot minutes on in real action in the NBA. So
Yeah, exactly. So, Toppin looked very comfortable out there.
same thing with Washington, Dwayne
And
Washington.
Washington,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. They've had that experience. So you can tell what other guys, and I think sometimes you, as a player, you may feel that pressure because it's like, whoa, I'm not in college anymore.
But
You got
you,
the coaches out there watching you. You had Mikal Bridges and what's his name? OG Ananobi was
OG,
there
yeah.
watching. So it's like,
Mhm.
there's this pressure. Woj was there watching. So,
Yeah,
it's a
but
lot.
it's so funny, not funny if it's ironic or whatever, like how players approach the game. Like Kolek, he didn't look nervous, like he was in his natural element,
Yeah,
as opposed to like Dadier, which is true. He did look nervous, his step, but that's why I said as he progressed on his shot selection will get better. But it's just like, ironic. Kolek looked like a natural.
he
He didn't
does.
he didn't see you didn't see no nervous jitters in with him. It's like I was born for this. So it's just, how players approach the game. And I know they do it, everybody do it differently, but I just had to just mention that, how Cole looked like, okay, I was born for this. This is what I've been waiting for, the big stage. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I said he looks ready. Like if we need to put Kolek out there to play, bring that ball up and give Brunson some time to rest and catch his breath, I feel comfortable putting him out there. The way he was handling that ball, I was like, and I'm gonna keep watching like I said, I'm gonna watch the summer league games because I want to see what these guys can do and how they're looking out there on the floor competing against these other teams to see like, okay, well, this is what we can look forward to as long as I think, and also it's like you said, these guys got to be able to show what they can do so Tibbs can see, well, okay, I can give him a couple of minutes in
hmm
game versus like, nah, I'm not putting him on in the game. I'm not putting him out there. So, I think it's very important and pivotal that these players prove, what they can do out there on the floor. Salute to Q Burrow, brother. Good morning, ladies. Good game last night. Kolek is nice. Kolek is nice. I really like Kolek a lot.
yeah.
And like I said, I'm not necessarily hating on Hakoum Daddier. I think that I just need to see more of what he can do before I,
But
cross him
you
out.
but we will. And like somebody said, yeah, he's young. He's just 18. So, you again, as he, get more reps, and whether it's the G League and X, Y, and Z, the summer league is definitely, a boost to him, and just the confidence and what he can look forward to. Like we all know, the NBA is a whole different ball game. So, you're gonna he's a true wing. He's
Right.
young, 18. That's that's a practically a baby, when you think of the chat world or just the podcast and everything, all these you know eyes on you. So he'll definitely get better, with time. You'll see, the more he played, the more comfortable he'll get. He'll better shot selection. You'll see the versatility in his game. So you know it's just a matter of time. You're not gonna see the one game or two, the game two, but I guess the more he plays, the more comfortable he'll get.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Um, the Knicks next summer league matchup is Tuesday at 4:30. They'll be playing Brooklyn. And then they play, well, they playing back to backs, and then they play Wednesday the
Yeah.
17th at 3:30. That
Mhm.
these are early games against Sacramento, and then they play again on Friday
Like the 19th, right?
against Detroit. So I'll be looking forward to these next few games during the week. I'm excited to see what they do against Brooklyn. Be nice if they can get the win, and if we can see, other guys like Ariel Hukporti, Hokavitis, we can see what they can do as well. I'm looking forward to that, and seeing, what these guys can bring to this Knicks roster, to this Knicks team, who's, going to be on a tear next season. So looking forward to that. Pacome didn't get the minutes before we drafted him. He'll get better with more playing time. Yeah, of course. I agree.
For sure.
I for sure think that he's gonna get better. Absolutely. Um, New York Liberty, they won. So first of all, shout out to you because you had them at 3-0, and they did just that. I had them at 2-1. So shout out to you for the optimism, for remaining positive, believing in them. They're now at 20-4. They're still number one in the Eastern Conference. They beat Chicago 67-81. The Liberty got a lot of hate for yesterday's game because people felt like they should have allowed Angel Reese to get her 16th consecutive double double. The last time I checked, isn't this a professional league? It's
Exactly.
not a kiddie league. So why
Yeah.
are you getting mad that they had four defenders on her? Isn't it supposed to be a game of competing,
Yep.
a game of
Competition.
winning? And for some reason, I'm seeing all this hate on Twitter, ESPN, and people in the comments, and just unnecessary hate because they didn't allow Angel Reese to get her 16th consecutive double double.
Exactly.
I've never heard of that before. Again, I thought that this was a professional league and not a kiddie league, but yet somehow, you know, people are upset about that. Nonetheless, Jonquel Jones finished with 14 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Leonie Fevish finished with 13 points, 6 rebounds. Kennedy Burke started the game because Brianna Stewart is out with a hamstring, and Benijah Laney still dealing with her right knee injury, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
or I guess soreness.
Soreness.
But Kennedy Burke did start the game. She actually made the first basket, which was a three. She finished with 7 points, three rebounds, 2 assists. Sabrina Ionescu stepped up big time. Her game is on another level this year. And that is what I'm looking for with players. It's about getting better, not relying on that 3 point shot that we know that you can make. But the fact that she's added a floater, she got a stop and pop, she's able to get to the basket, speaks a lot of volumes for her. She finished with 28 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. And Ivana Dojkic came in. She didn't miss a basket, actually. She was perfect from the field goal percentage. She finished with 12 points, 2 rebounds. And Naira Sabali finished with 6 points. She also had a solid game. I have to say, I didn't have concerns when I didn't see um,
Yeah.
Brianna Stewart or Benijah not playing. My thing was this is a good test to see what players can do without both of them playing in the game, especially Brianna Stewart, who carries this team a lot.
Hmm.
And funny enough is that Jonquel Jones was off in the first half. She couldn't buy a basket. Um, Sabrina Ionescu was kind of off, but not as bad as the first matchup of the back to back against Chicago. And I mean, just to see like this Liberty team has so many weapons, and you see other players come in and Naira Sabali playing good defense against Angel Reese, not getting quick, easy, silly fouls, but just like players driving to the back, like Sabali was driving to the basket. I was shocked. I don't
Yeah.
know if you heard me talking about her, and maybe she was like, "Yo, I'm gonna prove her wrong." But like, I didn't really have any complaints yesterday. I was just like, "Wow!" Just to see how these players, they really could have said, "You know what? We don't have Brianna Stewart. We don't have Benijah. You know, maybe this ain't gonna be our game." But the fact that, first of all, they're a better team than Chicago. Chicago's not a fluke. They're not a horrible team, but the Liberty are a better team than them. But the fact that the Liberty came out with just the energy, the will to win. They competed. They were aggressive. They were able to take Kennedy Carter out of her game. She
Oh
got
yeah.
frustrated. They got her in foul trouble. Marine Mabry still had a great game. But the difference was once they put, because Kayla Thornton didn't start. So once Kayla Thornton came in the game and was defending her, I thought that was a smart decision. But just the adjustments that Sandy Brondello has done throughout the games speaks volumes for her as a coach as well. What were your thoughts on that game, yesterday's game?
Well, definitely just people stepping up, in the absence of two starters. Like you said, it's Stewie was out and Laney Hamilton. They both were out. So just to see, other role players just stepping up, um, like Sabrina, it's like you rely on her for the most part because, like you said, John Paul Jones, she was off in that first half, but in that second half, she did came out. She was almost close to a double double. Because she's needed, especially when you got Stewie out. Well, you don't want all the weight to fall on one person. So it was nice that she got her foot in and was able to get on track. But I want to talk about the defense against, Angel Reese. Yeah, although you have four people, guard her in the end, but you gotta account for she didn't get that double double because of the defense that was played on her prior. So
Mhm.
she had plenty of time to get score that double point. But kudos to Kennedy Burke for just like the defense that she put on her, and then
Yeah,
the switch with Kayla Thornton. So she had ample time. You waiting 14 seconds, and now you calling for to get that two extra points. So it was just defensive effort that was the clamps that was put on her to prevent her from scoring that 2 points way before quote unquote the Liberty quadruple her. It's a sport, someone's supposed to part the court and let her score 2 points
right.
just so she can stat pad. No, that's not how it works. You play. The goal is you want to get that W, and by any means, if you defensively, your offense has to be on point. Just the other little things that you do as a team. So, you know, defensively, they were able to hold her, under, getting from preventing from getting those 2 points, and that goes to Burke and Thornton. They were, and Sabally also.
Mhm.
They were just able to contain her, and so that was defensively, the Liberty did their job. And offensively, they did a great job by winning the game. Beat Chicago 4-1. No, Chicago beat them. It was twice, right? So they
I think it was twice. Yeah.
yeah. So because they played them 5 times, so they beat them three out of the best out of five.
And
Um,
really, one of the games was a preseason game.
oh yeah, so yeah, that's true. But just overall, just being able, like, the bench, Joy, what was it?
Doikage. Doikage.
Jokic. Yeah, she was able to, the contribution she was able to make. Kayla Thornton didn't score, but defensively she was,
She had an
did.
impact.
Yeah, she had an impact. Sometimes, like I always say, it's not the points you score, it's the other things that you do, that have an impact on the floor. And Sabally, we know she came back from like a back injury, so she was able to like go move up and down six. She used her size to her advantage. So just overall, like, and I just love how when Sandy, she calls those timeouts at the right time.
She
She
does.
never lets the game get away from them.
Mhm.
And that's what I love about her coaching style. It's like
Yeah.
if it's a double, oh, she that's the most she'll let it get up to. And she never lets that game slip away from her. And that's why I think they're able to stay within, striking distance, and why they are, the number one seed right now, because just like she's able to like just gather them and okay, this is what we need to do. This is what's happening. Da, da, da. So she, by observing as a coach, and you got your assistant coaches, this is what you see on that floor. Okay, time
Exactly.
out, and let's gather, regroup, and she's able to rally them, and they next thing they come out from this timeout.
And they
9 times out of 10, yeah, they score when
score right away.
exactly. So that's what I love about her coaching style. Um, she's just able to, she's getting the best out of them and the most out, and she is. So they were just able to control the game. Was able to keep Kennedy Carter under wraps. She sat on the bench for the bulk of the win. Um, but they just, I'm loving what I'm seeing for the Liberty right now, man. They just say I just carry this over, all stars coming up, let them get a break. Um, yeah, then the Olympics, but I'm just loving them. And they're on like a tear, and they're like at the right time. So like they're
Hmm.
able to get some separation between them,
Right.
and, and Connecticut and the other team, all the other teams. So if you could get like that separation, you're above, you're surpassing where you should have been or expected to have been. So this is great for them.
Yeah, this is actually their best start in franchise history.
Yeah.
We've never had a 20-4 start. Prior to that, a 19-4 start. But I agree with you. I think that the players respect Sandy. I think Sandy also has trust in them where we've seen them, the Liberty, come out and have slow starts and they'll be down like 12-1, but she'll still let them play because she's like, let me let them find their groove. But
Hmm.
again, she calls timeouts. And it's very rare she even allows it to get to a double digit lead. A lot of times she'll let them maybe most allow a team to go up by 7, maybe 8, and then she's calling a timeout because she doesn't want them to get so far, to the lead to get so far ahead. But I think that I keep hearing Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu say in after game interviews and in the post game interviews, we haven't peaked yet. And I think that's really key that they keep saying that because I think when you're playing in a professional sports, but especially in a game of basketball, you don't want to peak so early. Like you got to save some of that for like the playoffs
Yeah.
because that's when teams like they turn the switch and it's a different high intensity level. Players are teams that haven't won that many games, but they're happy to be in the place. They're trying to knock those top seeded teams out. So I think that's so key that they keep mentioning like we haven't even peaked yet and we know that we're better. And I truly believe that they are because they've had those maybe so far. I'm not even going to say a handful, but at least like 3 because they've only lost 4 games, but at least like 2 or 3 games where they've been a little questionable that kind of reminds you of again. And I keep going back to last year's finals against the Vegas Aces because that wasn't the Liberty's best basketball. And it wasn't even a matter of it being lazy. It just seemed like they weren't locked in and connected with each other. And the Liberty have had those 2, maybe 3 games this year where they weren't really like locked in and overall as a team. It wasn't necessarily individual players you could point at the where they just looked like they weren't as a team. It was just an off night for them, an off game. And that happens with teams and it happens with players where
Sure.
sometimes in basketball it's just not your night. You're off. But I think that this team needs to continue to, like you said, create separation. But while creating the separation, you have to keep continuing to win. You can't think because we have a 5, 6 game lead over the
Get
rest of the
comfortable.
pack, right? That okay, we're good. No, you gotta just keep your foot on these teams' necks and keep continuing to win. Stay at the top seed, right? So this way, and again, this is why I say you can't sleep because let's just say hypothetically the Liberty they finish off at the number 1 seed, and let's just say I'm just saying hypothetically they're playing the Indiana Fever. Do you know how the odds are against the Liberty? Because the refs are gonna have the whistle in favor of Indiana because Caitlin Clark.
Yep. They swallow that whistle.
Right. So whoever's playing them, if they make it in the playoffs, because right now I think they're sitting at, I don't know if, I don't think they're at 10th, but I think they could be at ninth or 8th. But even if it's not Indiana Fever, let's just say it's Atlanta, the Atlanta Dream, or it's another team that's not doing so good. Sometimes like it almost seems like it's rigged and like the refs, I'm not saying they're supposed to call a recall in the favor of our home team, the Liberty, or because they were at home and they have home court advantage, but it just makes you wonder sometimes. And I think that's why you can't get comfortable, because as well as you did throughout the regular season and as quick as you got into the playoffs, as quick as you could get knocked out. Sometimes those teams that are not as good, they'll be the ones that'll knock you right out. So I think that this team has to continue to create space in the standings in the Eastern Conference and win. Again, I saw, I don't remember exactly which article I read, but the same 5 teams that I mentioned, I'm seeing the same 5 teams being talked about in conversations as these are the top 5 teams in the WNBA, being the New York Liberty, the Connecticut Sun, the Seattle Storm, the Las Vegas Aces, and the Minnesota Lynx. Those are the top 5 teams that it's anyone's game. It's anyone's game. And we've seen the Liberty struggle against Minnesota. They beat them, but they've struggled against them. Kind of reminds you of the Knicks Boston matchup. And right now, Minnesota's confident they could beat the Liberty. The Las Vegas Aces damn sure don't want the Liberty to win. And they're getting enticed with incentives, money incentives. So they're trying to do a three-peat. That's why I said you can't sleep on them just because they're not in the top 3. Listen,
Yeah.
they're well coached as well. And then Seattle Storm built their super team with their big 3 for a reason. So, and they won a championship before. So the only team really that hasn't won a championship out of those 5 teams, if I'm not mistaken, is the New York Liberty.
Yeah.
Minnesota's won.
I feel.
Seattle won. Aces have won. And Connecticut, I believe, did Connecticut win one year? I'm trying to think if they won one year. I don't think they won a championship. I could be wrong because I don't know if John Quel's ever won a championship before.
No.
She's been
Mm-mm.
an MVP. Okay, because that's where she came from. She was on Connecticut for years,
Yeah.
and then they brought her over. So, okay, they're the only 2 teams, but still, like, no disrespect, but nobody cares about Connecticut Sun getting a championship. People care more about the New York Liberty winning a championship. So the Liberty have to like. I'm really like you said. I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing. I just think that they have to take it one game at a time, but you have to be ready each game. You can't sleep on any team, whether it's a better team in the league with a better record or it's a team that, they're not doing well. I mean, you especially these teams like the Washington Mystics, Los Angeles Sparks, Dallas, who the Liberty are gonna be playing, will be at one of those Dallas games. Um, Seattle, they're going to be playing against. Seattle's actually playing well, but like you got to watch out for those teams. Those are the kind of teams that they come in and you think, oh, the Liberty should be able to win this one. And you look up at the score and it's close. The Liberty only up by 4, 6 points. And that's something else I've noticed with this Liberty team. They're giving up leads. How many games have we seen them be up by 20 points, 22, 25 points? And then it's like, well, what happened? Y'all was just up. Now you only up by 8, and now that other team feels like, okay, well, we can get into this lead. So I really just want to see the Liberty just one stay healthy because that's going to be pivotal as well. They have to remain healthy. Like you need Jonquel Jones, you need Sabrina Ionescu, you need Brianna Stewart, you need Laney, and you know who else is like underrated? And I commented under their YouTube is Courtney Vandersloot. Like even though she's dealing with grieving right now after losing her mother. When you look at what she does on that floor, I was saying to myself with just yesterday's game, I said they need her on that floor.
Yeah.
It's her veteran experience, her
That's what they say.
timing. She
Yep.
does such a great job with not, she'll bring the ball down and she doesn't initially throw it to the next player. She waits and she has time and she'll like fake it as if she's gonna pass the ball. And then she makes the right, whether it's a bounce pass or overhead pass. I said they need somebody like that. Or sometimes where she's like, hell, I don't have no options. I just gotta drive to the basket. And even if she gets the shot blocked, she still tries while
That's
going
yeah.
in.
You reading
And
my mind.
she'll
Yep.
get a shot snuffed, but she still
She
attempts to
hustles
walk to the
back.
basket and she hustles back, right? So like
And
she's won a championship, so she knows what it takes to get there, and that's another reason why they brought her to this team. So
Adamant.
when I
Yep.
watch her play, I'm like, wow, like even though I could see where coaching staff said we're gonna not so much really limit her minutes, they're a little down, but like we're gonna let Sabrina play the point, but you still need Courtney Vandersloot because you need the like the high basketball IQ on that floor. Somebody who's has the veteran experience, who's won a championship, who makes very pivotal key decision making on the floor. You need somebody like her. And I just watch her and I'm like, wow, I can see why they brought her to this team. Like you need a player like that on this floor. You need players like her and Brianna Stewart who make those right. Brianna Stewart, countless times this year, how many games in the fourth quarter has she had to take over to stop the clock, get to the free throw line, and make key baskets that this Liberty team needs? So I'm really loving what I'm seeing from the veterans on this team. I'm really loving what I'm seeing from this Liberty team playing together as a team. And I'm loving what I'm seeing for them also because they're having fun while doing it and they're
Yeah.
competing on a night in, night out that basis. Like I haven't seen one game yet where even if they lost, I was like, damn, like that wasn't, they was playing lazy. Like they're still competing. And I think that together overall, and I heard Sandy say in a post game the other day, she said, I really love all the players on this team. She said, I wish I could play them all more minutes. But the key thing that I heard Sabrina say was she said, I love how like Ivana Dojkic, Markeisha Davis, Kennedy Burke, they're staying ready. Stay ready. You don't know when your number is going to be called. You don't know who's going to get injured. And yesterday's game was a pivotal moment. Even Naira Sabali, you've been out with a back injury, but came back in and you stayed ready. You're staying engaged. You're watching the game, looking at where you can fit in offensively and defensively. So Leonie Fevich, like I'm loving what I'm seeing from players who may not be getting as many minutes, but they're staying ready for that next woman up mentality. Like my number could get called at any given moment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
And you don't want to go out there looking like a fool. The only person I haven't seen get burned is the girl who got signed to the 10-day contract.
Oh
And
yeah.
I
Hmm.
told you it's gonna be hard for them to put her in. When you're on a championship contention, sometimes coaches are like, it's no disrespect to you, but I don't know really where to fit you in.
Yeah, offensively, sometimes you just don't fit in at that moment. But like you said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. You could so her number may be called any day, but right now, it's just she's just not fitting in. But you never know when. That's it.
Right.
They don't know when.
Yeah.
So
Salute Paul Ivana. She said she's getting slammed for stat paddling like LeBron and his son. She's talking about Angel Reese.
oh yeah.
And Chicago fans were actually mad at Kennedy Carter, I guess, for not passing Reese the
Oh
ball, but
yeah.
she couldn't. If she
Yeah.
would have tried, someone would have swatted the ball away, tipped the ball away. So the defense was that strong that Angel Reese wasn't going to get that ball. And did you see Angel kind of flare her hands up like, why you
Mm-hmm.
didn't pass me the ball? Sis, they couldn't pass you the ball. The
Girl, you went
defense
out.
was just, you wasn't going to, listen, she's going to be able to start a new record for double doubles. She
for
still
sure.
sits at number one in the league right now. I think I don't know who's two, but I know Asia Wilson is number three for double doubles. She sits at third in the league for double doubles made a night. I just I'm curious to see also what happens with the whole rookie of the year award. It
Um,
just sucks to see like this whole like division amongst who should win it and how nasty people get between this whole Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and people are like, "Oh, Angel Reese shouldn't get it. She doesn't even make layups. She misses easy layups. She's just a rebounding machine." And you know, it's a whole thing. I just like I'm like it's crazy how people, how they go to these extreme lengths and make these nasty comments to people about who should win it. That's a whole nother conversation. But I do think that Asia Wilson's going to win the MVP this season.
oh, for sure.
The
I mean,
numbers that she's putting up,
well, deservedly so. I mean, yeah, Brianna won it last year, but what she's doing for her team this year is like you can't overlook that. I mean, you got to call fair as fair. You can't, as much as I'm a diehard Liberty fan, and yeah, but I'm happy Brianna won it last year. She deserved it, but
mhm,
for this year, Asia, she's balling, she's doing her thing, so you can't overlook that. Um,
yeah,
and kudos to her if she wins it.
yeah, I don't see anybody else really coming close.
Yeah.
Um, there are some players who are like top in scoring as well, but I think she's doing it on a consistent basis. I also think Asia Wilson had a chip on her shoulder for whoever voted her fourth, who gave her that
Oh
fourth
yeah,
place.
for sure.
And I remember she made a comment and was like, "Who did that? Like, do y'all not see what I'm doing out there on the floor?" So, shout out to her. I believe this is definitely her year for MVP. Do I think it's the Aces year for a championship? It's a little too early to tell. I think right now, what are there left? I think there's maybe like 16 games left in the regular season, maybe 17.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and that's not including the All-Star break, excuse me, plus the Olympics, which is coming up. So, I just think that right now, I think we have to get through the remainder of like this month in August, and then we'll be able to say like, okay, this is what's going down. And then it's still early to tell because once the playoffs hit, you don't know what's going to happen. You know,
Exactly. A team that could come out after those Olympics and now they hit their stride and guess what? The Liberty may run up against a wall. So you don't know. It's nice that they put that separation amongst, the other teams, but again, one team could hit their stride and peak and another team could just run into a brick wall and just, things just are not clicking as they was in the first half, and now they have to, gain that momentum back. So it's just so hard right now. You can't tell.
right? Exactly. Yeah, Paula, I agree. People are losing their minds over two players, which is
Yeah,
crazy. And like, it's crazy how people think this league revolves around Caitlin Clark, as if it didn't exist before Caitlin Clark came around. I think Caitlin Clark helps with views, but I think what she does on the court is great, but her team is boring. I don't watch Indiana Fever games. They're not exciting. And it's not just because I'm a Liberty fan. I'm just like people are saying, "Oh, well, she's throwing behind the back passes and she's shooting far threes like Steph Curry." We've seen that already. Serena Ionescu does that already. She's shooting the ball from the half court as well. And it's not, again, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on her. I just feel like the way people are like just making it so black and white, Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, forgetting to name players like Rakia Jackson. Cameron Brink before she got hurt. You know what I mean? Like there's other Alyssa Peely on Minnesota, like these players who are just as good. And I'm like, why are y'all so concerned about those two players? Like, again, I love both of them, you know, and I just don't understand why people are just going crazy over these two players. And I'm like, stop making it about Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. Like, even aside from rookie of the year conversation, it's so much, it's pinning these two against each other. And it's like, well, no, we only watch. And again, the numbers don't lie. When you look under the WNBA page, any game that involves the Indiana Fever is getting well over 100,000 views. When you look at games, other games, they're getting maybe 70,000, 80,000 views. Caitlin Clark's may get 140K to 200,000 views of people watching the replay of the games. But I just, you know, and people, and again, salute to people and kudos to people who say, well, oh, I only watch because of Caitlin Clark. Great. You know, I think that's fantastic. I think that you should also check out other teams in the league, you know, and I do think that we talk about the league does need to expand. But there's other teams who are very fun to watch and actually win. And you would actually enjoy watching them. And to be honest, again, I'm not just saying this because we're New Yorkers and we're Liberty fans. The best experience you will have at a WNBA game, hands down, I challenge anybody to challenge me on this, is if you go to Brooklyn, go to that arena called the Barclays Center and watch the New York Liberty play, you'll have more fun there than you would at a Brooklyn Nets game
Oh, for
because
sure.
the intensity reminds you of when you're at a Knicks game. You're not going to get that at any other game in the WNBA, at any other arena at the WNBA. First of all, I watch when I look, I'm looking at the crowd. The energy is nowhere near like in Brooklyn. They don't have the same kind of mascot we have. Who's the mascot's a star? How you on the cover of Time Out magazine? You they don't have the same kind of like the energy, just the vibe that's there. Is it doesn't compare. It doesn't compare. And I've watched plenty of games. I've seen Atlanta games. I've seen Seattle games. I've seen Dallas play, even the Aces, and they arena be packed. It's not the same. But if you go to Barclays, get you tickets to a New York Liberty game, thank me later because you're going to be like, wow, I had a really good time.
Yeah,
I had a really good time. It's engaging, it's high energy. I mean, everybody's standing up because every little thing you want to watch, the way they get the fans involved, you're getting a free concert too. You get a whole show, a free show you're getting in at halftime that people don't even know that they're getting. You're getting a whole show. And minus the tight seats in Barclays, because if you're tall, your knees are going to be touching the seat in front of you. You're going to have an amazing time. An amazing time. Salute AP, AP. It is. It's very much black and white. Is that the reason they are watching? You kidding me? I see Teaspoon throw it. Exactly. We've seen this
yeah.
before.
That's a
Tisha
say. This,
Penichero was doing that
yo,
before.
thank you. I was getting yo exactly.
Tisha
So
Penichero was ahead of the game before it
yeah,
started. He was like, oh, she was like Jason Williams when they used to have him in Sacramento. Yo, that was the female version. She was
yeah,
doing things between, I mean, crossover was crazy. She was
exactly. So,
doing no look passes, smooth with it. We've seen this before. Teaspoon was doing this on the Liberty back when she used to play, throwing passes, one-handed passes, baseball,
yeah,
football passes all the way to the other. We've seen
between
this.
legs, like
Y'all just
you
late to
see.
the league.
Yeah,
But welcome. We welcome everyone here now. Welcome to the WNBA and for watching. And those who are still not on board, well, you know, you have some catching up to do. So why do you think the Liberty are more acceptable than the Nets in New York? Because they win.
true.
People don't want to
It's
see a
simple.
losing team. I think they win. I think also because the Liberty were able to bring seasoned named players who people know. Because think about it, before they brought Jonquel, Brianna Stewart, Courtney Vandersloot, Sabrina Ionescu was the only like hot name on the team.
Yeah,
Nobody knew any.
let it
We didn't
go.
know any of the other players. So she was carrying the team. So she was basically filling a role like how Julius Randle was the lone wolf, how Melo was the lone wolf. That was Sabrina. She was the only person like really on the team carrying it with a household name. And then when the Liberty said, okay, enough with the losing. We have to change the same way the Knicks organization doing the same thing with the Knicks. The Liberty front office said the same thing. We have to change the trajectory up here. Like this team needs to bring a championship here. So
Yeah.
let's pay the money, get the players in here. Let's get them from wherever they at. The owner, they did a nice docu-series where she went overseas, talked to Brianna Stewart, who was playing at the time overseas, went over, spoke to Jonquel Jones, spoke to Courtney Vandersloot. They said, okay, boom, we're gonna build the team around Sabrina Ionescu. They brought in other little pieces. And to be honest, I saw a tweet and I think I sent it to you last night. Hansu is still technically a Liberty player. So is Marine Johannes. It's just that they're playing overseas in their countries. But they can be back next season. I just think that you know how sometimes when teams win a championship and then after they win, they may let go of some players and the
Mm-hmm.
Liberty may do just that. But they had to bring in well, they brought in already Kayla Thornton, but Kennedy Burke, the Ivana Dokic, and they had to bring in Phoebus because they don't have Hansu, they don't have Marine Johannes, and it's somebody else I'm missing that was on that list that we had on the team. And I've seen a lot of fans asking about where's Hansu. But this team right now, they're popular because they win. They're popular because they have names that people know. Brianna Stewart is a big name in the league. Jonquel Jones is a big name. These are MVPs. These are players who win. They come from winning teams.
And I just want to chime in one thing, because we both watched that same docu-series. The Liberty owners, they were the first team to offer their players chartered flights.
Yeah,
They were fined tremendously. So
500,000.
you know, 500,000. So when everybody say, yeah, Caitlin Clark, brought that, actually the Liberty was the first team to
And she's not
offer,
talked about.
yeah, offer their players chartered flights. However, they were fined by the WNBA. So I guess now that she comes, everybody's making a big stink. Oh, Caitlin Clark was the reason. No, actually, she wasn't. So behind the scenes, the Liberty was the first team.
Right.
So yeah, did she bring awareness? Perhaps, but she wasn't the first. So
Absolutely.
that's we need to So when you say about the black and white and the hate, and that's what I hate. When they when the media paint this narrative. And I was listening to Sirius XM, and I forgot what show he was on, but it was Clay Thompson's father was on the show, and he flat out said the reason why Caitlin was left off of the Olympics because they are jealous of her. And so I think when you keep that narrative going, and you as a professional, you that shouldn't even come out your mouth. They were jealous or they're envious of her. Dude, come on. You don't paint that narrative, because now you're making it seem like it is a black and white thing. Oh yeah, the players are her. They jealous of her. They don't want to see her shine. They don't want to. That's not the reason why.
Or like it's an internal issue in the WNBA amongst players against her. That's not
Exactly.
saying that because that's like saying, well, the NBA didn't pick Jalen Brunson for the Olympics because the players are jealous of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Do I think he was left off of the roster? Like, I questioned, first of all, when I saw Kawhi, I said, why? His knees are done. Kawhi is shot. You're done. You're done, buddy.
And
He's no good anymore. The knees are done.
he pulled out.
Yeah. So when I saw the roster, I said, "Wow, they really left Jalen Brunson off the Olympics team." But that's okay. That's to be expected because we know that a lot of the Knicks players and the Knicks as a whole do not get respect. But I just think that whole like people saying things like that. The coach who said it the best was Gino Auriemma. He was like, "No, she needs to bulk up and get stronger, build up her skill set, and then consider her for Olympics and All Star team and et cetera, this, that, and the
And
third."
that's what perhaps what he should have said instead of making it seem like the players are jealous and envious of her. Just don't paint that narrative. She's too inexperienced. You
Right.
know, she'll get her moment and her time for the Olympics. There's the Olympics to come, and guarantee she's that because she's getting better as she go along now. So
Exactly.
she will definitely. She's gonna be a force, man. Come next season, you think she's getting good now?
She's gonna
Come
be better.
next,
Agreed.
oh hell yeah, she will for
And
sure.
she's gonna be stronger. That's another thing
Yeah,
that I agreed with Gino Auriemma. And people were like mad at Dawn Staley because they asked her who does she think should be rookie of the year, and she said Angel Reese. And people was like, "Oh my gosh, she's only saying that because Angel Reese is a black player." I'm like, what's wrong
like
with
what you
people?
asking.
What's wrong with people? I'm like, she's speaking from a coach's standpoint. And she even said, Dawn Staley said, she said, but I really like Caitlin Clark's game. But she said, I think they both have to work on their game and get better. She said, but I just like more of what I saw from Angel. And Dawn likes those players like Camilla, like those tough, gritty, Aaliyah Boston type players.
Mhm.
So it only makes sense she said Angel, who didn't even play for her. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? But it's like she likes those tall players who could be gritty, get down low, get the rebounds, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's just the overshadowing of looking at what Caitlin has done with her shooting percentage, and you know, I think that it's this whole narrative that the media has portrayed, and it's just like last year in the finals. It's not exactly the same narrative, but it's just like how the narrative was Vegas and New York are going to make it to the finals. And it did happen. So it's how when the media paints these narratives, unfortunately, that's what happens. But nonetheless, exactly. Sabrina got the same hate as Caitlin Clark when she came to the league. She did.
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
people didn't think Sabrina was the real deal. That's the problem when you come from college. People think, well, it's not going to translate in the league. And I don't, was it you that said, or was it me that was like, Caitlyn should work in a gym with Sabrina?
Oh, it was you. I think. Yeah, I said that.
Like, yeah, you could shoot the three. It's not wrong with her shot, but I'm saying to give you some extra moves to add to your game. Because she don't right now, all she has is the shooting and the passing.
And just like Sabrina got that hate, and when she first came in, Caitlin Clark will get better. Her game has no other way but to go up and get better. So
Right.
she'll get there.
Yeah, agreed. The Liberty play Tuesday. They play Connecticut, 7 o'clock. Thank God it's not an early game. I can't when they do these camp games and stuff. I noticed they didn't do a lot of those this year though, which is good. But yeah, they play the sixth. Yeah, tomorrow. Tuesday's game is like the last game for a while because then they don't play again till August 15th. That's due to the All-Star break, All-Star weekend, which is the 20th of July.
Then they
And
got the
then um yeah, so that's
so you know me, I got them winning Tuesday's game. And when they come back, I got them winning. So win, 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 win.
yeah, so Tuesday they play Connecticut. It'd be nice to win that game before they go on a break for All-Star break, which is um, next weekend, and then um, All-Star break comes up. So it'll be a nice break for the players who are not on the on the Olympics roster. And then they'll be back on August 15th. So we'll have some break time in between that for the Liberty. Um, but yeah, anything else for you before we get out of here?
Nah, just I have them, winning, and just excited for the All-Star game.
Yeah, I got them beating Connecticut. We are the better team. As long as they play solid defense and don't allow it to come down to a close game, I think we'll be all right. Um, I don't think so. I think they're gonna keep Julius. But listen, the Knicks is full of tricks. The front office, anything is possible with them. So we'll see what happens. Julius is due to get paid in 2 weeks on a third. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens if the
Yep.
Knicks. I don't see them getting rid of Julius, but we'll see. Anything is possible again with the
We got a
Knicks.
lot of cap money there, so you never know what can
Right,
happen.
right, exactly.
Who the
Oh, that's the two Knicks chicks mascot.
all right, cool. It's the mascot for the two Knicks chick. Go get that.
But yeah, shout out to everybody for joining us today. Have a great week, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Well, we will do a pregame to the Liberty's upcoming game. Till next time, everybody.